I love baby Pokemon. Ask anyone I know and I'm sure they could at least infer that. I mean, in most of my videos when I need to put humans in my memes, I just use the same 6 kids. So baby Pokemon are a pretty fair jump. Because of this, I always feel sad about how both obscure they are as a group, and how much misinformation is spread about them. I want to help curb all the baby wrongs and replace them with rights, even though it may be hard. I think it could make for a good video and great tribute to baby Pokemon in general. So without further ado, who's bored? I'm bored, and today we'll be squashing misconceptions about baby Pokemon. We really can't start before we tackle the biggest point of confusion. Just what are they? Many people think that the phrase is thrown around for any small and cute first stage Pokemon, but that's not close to what it means. The ideas and guesses as to what they are can get pretty crazy, but the community has agreed that baby Pokemon, roughly, are tiny childlike Pokemon created for the sole purpose of headlining the new breeding mechanics of Gen 2. I personally don't agree, and as the only person claiming to be a Poke Baby master, my opinion is correct. See, while a large portion are related to breeding or new mechanics, a handful aren't. Riolu and Toxel, for example, are obtained directly as egg gifts, and while Toxel is gifted from the inside of the daycare, Riolu isn't. Tyrogue is straight up gifted directly by someone, so I feel that's too many exceptions to consider it right. Another fair belief is that baby Pokemon, at large, are just made for marketing. Hilariously though, only a small handful of them were ever used for that. Babies like Riolu and Toxel were barely mentioned or known before release, and I'd argue that babies like Smoochum are just straight up bad for sales. The only constant they all share is being in the undiscovered egg group, so they can't breed. So I more so think that they're a group of daycare related Pokemon that can't breed and are all distinctly related to babies or children in some way. With one poorly established definition out of the way, I think we can smoothly transition into the first misconception, which is that Togepi and Riolu are not baby Pokemon. I'm shocked that this is even a misconception, but I think I understand. See, these two weirdos break almost every rule established so far. While they can be obtained by breeding, it's in a sort of bass-ackwards way, since you actually can't get them anywhere besides a gift egg. This isn't like the other babies where you catch a Pokemon in the wild, and then can only get the baby by breeding, period. You get the baby, then evolve it, and then breed it to get more of that baby. That's bizarre. However, one fake rule that seems to be the cause of this misconception is that baby Pokemon must be introduced in generations after the original Pokemon. This is completely false, as proven by, well, Riolu, Togepi, and Toxel. They are quite literally only bound by the fact that they are baby adjacent and cannot breed, but Riolu is easily the most arbitrary baby. He has literally no reason to carry the distinction. Yet, don't be swayed. He is a baby through and through. I suppose another misconception that's a little smaller would be the belief that baby Pokemon are weak. While this isn't completely wrong, it isn't completely right. In fact, it hasn't been true for generations. Munchlax and Riolu are both very strong, while others like Elekid and Smoochum can actually be used in success in normal playthroughs. Wynaut is so powerful, in fact, that it managed to end up in Ubers twice, being banned from all standard tiers. That's right. Babies have skill, and I bet you didn't even think about how weak Togepi was when playing through Johto. I definitely love that about them, since they're definitely fun to use, but I also can't help but remind everyone that you shouldn't be using Cleffa as a competitive wall or anything. You wouldn't bring your baby cousin into a battlefield. I hope. Now, here's a good question. What type is Azurill? Normal people hopefully said water, Pokemon addicts said water fairy, and psychopaths, such as myself, know that Azurill is normal and fairy for some bizarre reason. It might be a strange misconception, but it's fair. Azurill isn't water type and never has been, even before fairy was introduced, despite the fact that it's blue and evolves into a pure water type. I feel this is a mistake that even fans often make, and I should know since I'm not exactly alien to this slip-up myself. It feels almost silly writing it down, but that's only because it's a very hard to notice mistake. You'll likely make it often but barely ever notice it, so I don't expect it to really go away anytime soon. Heck, when was the last time you used Azurill? It hurts to say, but I tend to forget that the Hoenn babies exist sometimes, even though they're drop dead adorable. It's a combination of there only being 2, and almost always being extremely rare. Now then, how about a segment talking about some fun facts before we go through the final misconception? We've already established several rules of what makes a baby, but what about some even more strange soft rules? Well, it seems like babies aren't allowed to have regional forms, though we haven't seen enough examples to prove it. We have Alolan Raichu, but for some reason no Alolan Pikachu or Pichu. Probably because Pokemon didn't want to tarnish their scribbly Pikachu. But then what about Mime Jr.? Mr. Mime got a regional form and even an evolution to it, but Mime Jr. was left completely untouched. Although strange, it might be an unspoken law of babies, and that sort of bums me out. Imagine how much we could capitalize on cuteness if they just made Pichu Hawaiian. Here's one that I'm sure you haven't thought about, but probably already know. Not every baby Pokemon in Gen 4 needs an incense to come out of an egg. Specifically, Riolu doesn't, for some reason. This sort of makes sense since it would be busted if you could breed endless Lucarios, but it's still kind of a funny exception and doesn't help the whole "is Riolu a baby" thing. And here's one last fact I got directly from Bulbapedia because I became lazy while writing the script. If you catch a baby Pokemon in the wild, only in X and Y, it's guaranteed to have 3 random IVs at 31. So in other words, you get peak babies. In case you ever want to bring your baby game to the next level, there you go. Speaking of random tidbits to help regulate your baby-related hijinks, there are no ground, bug, dragon, steel, or dark type babies at all. Don't know why, I guess it just slipped their mind. Or it could be because designing a huggable metal baby is hard. Don't ask me, I'm not a Pokemon designer. And with that, our fun fact segment is over. We're finally at the final misconception, and it's one that kills me. That being that Teddiursa is a baby Pokemon. This is just completely false. I am obsessed with Teddiursa too, so I feel like I'm the authority on this extremely specific topic. For years, who knows how far back, the first images that would show up when googling baby Pokemon were ones from an anime episode that featured Teddiursa and a few baby Pokemon standing next to each other. For the life of me, I can't find the source for this, though I did track down several other things that painted a picture. Teddiursa appeared next to baby Pokemon constantly in the early days. Cerebee's old anime dex page for Teddiursa lists about 4 different instances where Teddiursa shared time with several babies, and if I had to take a guess, people just assumed he was one of them. He really does look like one too, so I really don't think I can blame them. I seriously don't know what episode this frame is from, so if someone can push me in the right direction, that would be appreciated. But nevertheless, no, Teddiursa is not categorically a baby Pokemon, just my baby. Some other Pokemon falsely believed to be babies are Sunkern, Gothita, Tinkatink, Milcery Cosmog, and a few other Pokemon that either have extreme baby theming or are unbelievably weak. So I suppose that's the end of our literal little adventure. I hope you learned something new, whether worldview shattering fact or fun fact, and I definitely hope you walk away from this loving baby Pokemon just a little bit more. Even those who aren't categorically babies, like Teddiursa, deserve to be loved too. Heck, maybe he's allowed to be a baby sometimes. I'm not the baby police. I love baby Pokemon and hope to make more videos exploring them as I learn more facts, since I feel like we all secretly love them deep down. And misconceptions, as fun as they are to talk about, show a clear lack of understanding and attention that they've garnered over such a long stretch of time. It might take years, but hopefully I can change that. Either way, it's time for the outro. Remember to follow my Tumblr and Blue Sky for art, and my Wattpad and AO3 for fanfictions. All my socials are bored in a good way, don't forget the underscores, and I always try to respond to DMs. You want to face me in Showdown? I'm trainer_bored, and usually I'm available every now and again. And remember, always stay bored.